I, 28-year-old male, want to adopt my sister after my dad's death. My wife, 28-year-old female, refused because we agreed on no children. Is there a way to fix this? I, 28-year-old male, have been married to my wife, 28-year-old female, for 2 years. We do not have kids and we do not plan to. I have a little sister, 11-year-old female. Due to the age gap, I am more like another father than a brother. My father passed away from pancreatic cancer. There are 2 options for my sister. Either I take her in or my uncle, dad's brother. So we asked her who she wanted and she chose me. Here is the problem. My wife and I decided that we did not want kids. So she does not want to adopt my sister, especially since my uncle can. But my sister has no parents now, and I want to make sure she is able to recover and be healthy. And since she wants to be with me, I will not force her to be with our uncle. This is causing a lot of tension with my wife. Things escalated, and I finally told her I am doing this whether she agrees or not. She can either accept it or we get divorced. We have not talked since then. What can I do in such a situation? Update. I talked with my wife again. She still refused as she does not want kids. So we basically decided to go our separate ways. She said, "You really are choosing your sister over me." I told her I do not want to go into this discussion again, but if that's what you want to hear, then fine. Yes, my sister takes priority now. I am choosing her over you. This was our last conversation. I've been living with my sister for 1 week now. Being a single father-ish brother is definitely challenging, but I am really enjoying it. I definitely see both sides to this. As the wife, you agreed, you spent your life with this person, you got married, and you agreed, no children. However, that's his little sister who no longer has parents, and it's not their kid, and she only has 6 to 7 years left before she's of age anyways. It's a big commitment, don't get me wrong. So I don't know, maybe there could have been some leeway. I think the husband, OP, definitely messed up by just saying, "This is what I'm doing, no matter what, I don't care." And that's just not how a marriage is supposed to work. There should constantly be communication and also compromise. Like, you find a way to work things through no matter what. Maybe they could have had her for some days or half days, I don't know. But it didn't have to completely blow up and just be like, well, whatever happens, I'm taking her side. I don't care what you think. This is what I want to do. And, you're married. That's just not exactly how you act. But, I do see both sides. Sad, but hey, at least the sister's happy. And she didn't want to be with her uncle. And we don't even know why. So we should also, play it safe. Story 2. My 28-year-old female fiance, 29-year-old male, wants me to put his family before mine, even at the expense of my family's health. Throwaway, as my work friends are on my main and they don't know this is going on. Also, obligatory that this is on mobile, so spelling and grammar will be poo. This is a long one, but I'll try and keep it as short as possible. I, 28-year-old female, got engaged to my partner of 7 years, Rob, 29-year-old male, in May. Both sides of our family were really happy about this, and we had a big family meal 2 weeks after getting engaged. His brother lives 250 miles away and couldn't get here for that meal, so we decided to have a meal just for his family in late June when his brother would be back for the weekend. This weekend was arranged long before we got engaged, so he wasn't back just for the meal. Earlier this year, my sister Kim, 32-year-old female, got a serious eye infection that very quickly turned into an ulcer, which scarred her cornea and left it at a high risk of perforation. She needed a corneal graft, but her surgeon was away for 4 weeks, so she was going to have to wait until he got back to have it. However, her eye didn't hold, and it perforated the day I was supposed to be going to the family meal with R's brother. Kim's wife was at work and had her phone turned off, and our mom was away with our stepdad, so when Kim called me to let me know what was happening, I knew she would be at the hospital on her own. I immediately talked to my boss, and he let me go early so Kim wasn't on her own. I texted Rob to let him know what was going on, and he texted me back to send Kim his love and to remind me about the meal that night. I ignored the comment about the meal as it was the last thing on my mind. Once I got to the hospital, I was taken back into a room where Kim was, to be greeted by 3 doctors and 2 nurses rushing around trying to help Kim. I was then informed that she needed to have an emergency operation to have her eye glued or else she would lose it. The problem was that they didn't have a surgeon at that hospital that could do it, and she needed to go to another hospital an hour and a half away. They asked if she would need transportation or if I could take her. I said I would take her. Once we got to the other hospital, we were told that she would be having the operation at 5:30 p.m. I knew then that I wouldn't make the dinner and texted Rob to let him know. He flipped out and basically told me to leave Kim at the hospital and have her wife pick her up after the OP was done. At this point, I still hadn't been able to get a hold of Kim's wife. I told him that wasn't going to happen and that he was out of order to even ask me to do that. I then texted his mom and told her what was going on. She was really supportive and told me to stay with Kim and let her know how the OP goes. A dinner can be rescheduled, Kim's health can't. I also spoke with his brother, who was equally as understanding. I stayed with Kim. Her operation was a success and I got her back home about 9 p.m. Her wife had ordered some Chinese and offered me some, which I happily accepted as I hadn't eaten since lunch. With that, I didn't get home till about 11 p.m. and Rob was already asleep. Rob was very short with me for days after, and we ended up having a huge fight where he told me that I should have put his brother and family before Kim. He said he was embarrassed going to the meal without me. I responded that I was embarrassed he thought I would put a meal before my sister's health. This led to another week of awkwardness between us before we finally sat down and sorted it out, or so I thought. 8 weeks ago, Kim got her graft and so far everything is going really well with it. On Saturday, his brother was here so we went out for dinner with his family. His family were all asking about how Kim was doing, and I showed them a picture of the stitches in her eye. I thought that everything had gone really well until we got home and he got really angry, saying that I shouldn't have brought up Kim's health issues and I shouldn't have shown them the picture. I argued that they asked about her health and asked to see the picture. It ended with him telling me that I needed to put him and his family before Kim or else we weren't going to work. His family will come before mine once we are married, so I should get used to it. I went upstairs and packed a bag. I'm now at my mom's house and he's been bombarding me with texts and calls since I left. I do love him, but I will never put his family above my own family's health. I feel like he's expecting me to spend every holiday with his family and to put their wants above my family's needs, which won't happen. I'm very close to my sister and my mom. That's not going to change, so I don't really know how to move forward or if I even want to. Has anyone experienced anything like this before? If so, how did you deal with it? Update. Thank you so much for everyone that commented. I replied to as many as I could, but I read all of them. Warning, this is going to be longer than the original post. A lot has happened. Too long didn't read. For those that just want a quick update, I left him and he's out of my house. His mom is seriously upset at him and his brother has gone no contact with him for the foreseeable future. For those that want a longer version, once I decided to end things with him, I knew that the main issue would be getting him out of my house. I own the house outright. My grandma died 5 years ago and left her house to my mom, who sold it and split the money between me and my sister. I then bought my house with that money about a year after she died. I got in touch with my stepdad's friend, who was the landlord, the day after I wrote my original post, who then put me in touch with his solicitor. He didn't have time to see me in person that day, but we did have a phone call where he gave me my options. In the UK, we have something called a Section 8 notice. This is a 14-day eviction notice and the solicitor said this would be the quickest way to get him out. However, he could try and contest it if he wanted to, which would lead to court dates and could take months. I asked him to draw up the notice and date it for Friday, the next day. I'd already made the decision to end things with him after work on Friday, so that he could have the weekend to sort through his emotions before work on Monday. On Friday morning, I text Rob and asked him to meet with me at our local pub after work. He quickly agreed. Not only is the pub a public space, but my stepdad and a few of his work friends go in there every Friday after work for a few pints, so I knew he would be there to step in if I needed him. Thank you for suggesting this, Redditors. I also picked up the eviction notice on my lunch break, so I was ready to give it to him. Cost €250, but it was worth it. When I got to the pub, Rob was already there and my stepdad stood at the bar with his workmates. I sat down with Rob and got straight to the point. I told him that it was over. I couldn't be with someone who didn't give me any support when I was going through one of the scariest moments of my life and expected me to drop my family for his. It didn't matter what excuses he could come up with, I wasn't interested. I'd made up my mind and we were done. He stared at me in shock for what felt like an hour, but was probably only a minute or so. He then started saying I couldn't be serious. We'd been together for 7 years and I was throwing it all away. I could never find another guy like him. I responded to the last comment with, I don't want a guy like you, that's why I'm ending it. I need someone who will support me when times get tough, not get annoyed that the world isn't bowing down to what he wants. I then handed him an envelope with the eviction notice in and my engagement ring. I told him I was giving him a few weeks to find a place and be out of my house. Then I stood up and walked over to my stepdad, who had bought me a much-needed drink, and stayed with him until my ex left, still looking in shock. I knew he wouldn't approach me whilst I was with my stepdad, as he always been a little scared of him. This is obviously a very condensed version of what had happened. Once I got back to my mom's house, I had one single text from him saying he wasn't moving out and was going to contest the eviction until I'd come to my senses and got back with him. "We are not over," was how he ended the text. I just turned my phone off and decided to deal with the legal side of things on Monday. There was nothing else I could do. Saturday morning I woke up and turned my phone back on and had another text from him saying that he would move out if I paid him 10,000 euros, as that's what he'd paid towards bills whilst he had lived at the house. He paid for half the electric, gas, Wi-Fi, and Sky package. Note, the Sky package is only as expensive as it is because he has to have every sports channel known to man, so his half literally just paid for the sports channels. I'd already asked the solicitor about this though, and he assured me that I didn't owe him any money as he hadn't contributed to the mortgage or any renovations of the house. It was just general expenses. He also knew that I don't have 10,000 euro just lying around. Let's say I was irritated by this and decided to ring his mom to see if she could talk some sense into him. I'll call his mom Sandra to make it easier. She was appalled by what I told her, and she said she would speak to him. She called me back about an hour later and asked me to meet her at the house. Rob was on an away day to watch his football team play and wouldn't be back till about 10 p.m., so I knew he wasn't there. I met her at the house with Kim, and Sandra said that Rob's brother was on his way back home and they would have Rob out by the following afternoon. She hadn't even spoken to Rob, just his brother, but she promised he would be out. Sandra then asked me to walk her through the house, showing her exactly what was his and what wasn't, so he didn't take anything that didn't belong to him. The next morning I got a text from Rob calling me all the names under the sun for getting his mom and brother involved. I blocked him, and a couple of hours later Sandra texted me to let me know he was out and was staying with her. I thanked her, and she told me that she would like to stay in contact, and I happily agreed to this. I went back to my house after work on Monday, changed the alarm code, and my stepdad changed all the locks for me. My stepdad is also arranging for a friend of his to install cameras around the outside of the house. This will be done over the weekend. Sandra rang me on Tuesday, asking if we could meet up as she had some things she wanted to know. So we met for lunch that day. It was at this time that she told me her ex was a controlling a-hole who was incredibly selfish, and the selfishness was what she had seen in Rob for so long. That's why she had commented on him being like his father, but she had hoped that was the extent of Rob's attitude and he hadn't picked up his dad's controlling behavior, which to be fair, he hadn't up until this whole episode. She had left Rob's dad after he had punched Rob's brother in the face when he was 14 and Rob was 10. He had never laid a hand on her or their sons before, but one time was enough and she left with the boys. To her knowledge, her ex had never reached out to speak to Rob or his brother, and they hadn't spoken to their father in years. I didn't know any of this. All I had been told was that their dad wasn't in the picture and hadn't been for a long time, but Sandra had thought I knew, and that's why she hadn't told me before. However, she had found out on Sunday night that Rob was back in contact with his father, and had been for the past year. His dad had been putting lots of thoughts into Rob's head about he is the man of the house and his family is all that matters. This had fed into Rob's selfish tendencies and had amplified them tenfold. Sandra said that she had told him to find somewhere else to stay ASAP, as she couldn't even look him in the face. Then Rob and his brother had a huge argument that ended with his brother telling him that as long as Rob is in touch with their dad, then Rob and his brother had a huge argument that ended with his brother telling him that as long as Rob is in touch with their dad, then he will have zero contact with him, even going so far as to tell him to spend Christmas with their dad because Sandra is going to his house and Rob isn't welcome. When Sandra took Rob's brother's side in all this, Rob flew into a rage and said he would move in with his dad. He then left the house, but came back a couple of hours later looking like he'd been crying. Turns out that his dad doesn't want him living with him and basically said he could be on the streets for all he cares. He's not putting a roof over a grown man's head. Sandra thinks that Rob is now starting to realize everything he has lost due to him listening to his dad and has seen his dad's true colors. Sandra is incredibly disappointed in him, but he's her son, so she is trying to be there for him as best as she can. However, she still wants him out and she doesn't trust him anymore. His brother still won't have anything to do with him. She has also told him to stay the heck away from me as I don't need to be brought into this, and he has promised her that he will. Only time will tell if that's true. But I do have him blocked on everything, and if he turns up to the house, I will just call the police to get rid of him. The more Sandra told me about what had been going on behind my back, the more resolute I have become about wanting nothing to do with him. I never want to see him again, if I can help it. So all in all, Rob's life is a crap show, but as long as he stays away from me, then I don't care. I've been spending a lot of time with my sister and her wife as well, and my mom and stepdad, which has been great. I've never really been close to my stepdad, but this has brought us a lot closer together, which has been one huge positive out of all this. I'm not exactly happy right now, but I'll get there. There's still a lot of feelings that I need to unpack. It will take time to move on from this whole situation. I don't think I will be dating for a while. I need to really get over all this and don't want to dump this on anyone else right now. For all those asking how Kim is doing, she's doing great. Had a hospital appointment on Monday and her consultant said her eye is healing. In his words, marvelously. So that's a relief. Thank you to everyone that reached out to me. I hope there won't be any need to update this again, so this should be my final update. For telling my ex that it's not my fault that he's homeless. So I, 28-year-old female, posted on relationship advice before about my now ex, 29-year-old male. The post and update is in my profile, but basically my ex-fiance wanted me to put his family before mine even at the cost of my sister's health. I ended up breaking up with him over it and he was forced to move in with his mom, who then found out that he had been in touch with his abusive dad, who was twisting his view on how a relationship should work. Last I heard was that his mom was kicking him out as she would not have anyone in her house that was in contact with her ex, and that he had tried to go live with his dad, but his dad had refused. I was completely no contact with him, so his mom was the one that had told me this. I'll call my ex Rob and ex's mom Sandra to make things easier. I hadn't heard from Rob in weeks, but yesterday he showed up at my house. I had the chain on my door, so opened it with that still attached. No way would I let him in. He basically told me that he had nowhere to live. His mom isn't speaking to him and his dad won't put a roof over a grown man's head. His words, not mine. He asked if I would take him back or at least let him live with me. No way in heck would I get back with him, and getting him out the first time only went easy because his mom stepped in to help. He had threatened to take me to court, knowing that if he did, it could take months to get him out, and then said he would only move if I gave him 10,000 euro. I contacted his mom, who was furious about that, and she turned up with his brother and forced him out. I told him that there was zero possibility of him ever living with me again and that we were 100% over. He started shouting at me and calling me all sorts of names, so I threatened to call the police if he didn't leave and shut the door. I have cameras all over my house, so I caught everything he did and said on camera, and have saved it to a USB just in case. He then went crying to all our mutual friends and it managed to get back to his mom. She called me and asked what happened. I told her and she then informed me that she had put her house up for sale and was moving 300 miles away to be nearer to her other son. Her and Rob had a huge argument about this and she finally kicked him out. Since then, he's been couch surfing. But with Christmas coming up, his friends aren't really happy with having him on their couches when they have kids and are meant to be enjoying the festive season. He's been kicked out of 3 friends' houses in 10 days. She told me I was right to refuse him, but I've since had other friends say that they feel sorry for them and that I can just let him stay in my spare room until he's back on his feet. I then asked them to put him up, but they said they would, but they don't have room, and if they had a spare room like me, then they would let him stay. My family and his are on my side, but I'm starting to doubt myself with that a couple of my friends have said. So Reddit, am I the butthole? Edit. Just a quick edit as I'm going to bed. I've just spoken with the wife of one of Rob's friends and she's asked me to meet on a lunch break tomorrow. Apparently, Rob stayed with them for 2 nights before she kicked him out and there's more going on than what I know. She's going to tell me the full story tomorrow, but told me that I shouldn't let him anywhere near me and that he's staying in a B&B, so he does at least have a roof over his head right now. I'll try and update after I've spoken to her. Relevant comments. User 1. NTA, you are lucky you got out when you did. File for a restraining order. Not sure if it's called the same in the UK. As soon as possible. OP. Restraining orders here are ridiculously hard to get. There usually has to be violence involved for one to be issued. I'm going to make sure I log everything from now on though. Update. So I posted yesterday about my ex turning up at my house, wanting for me to let him move back in with me. I said no, but a couple of friends thought I should let him and that messed with my head. Rob is my ex. A few people told me to change my locks, etc. I did that and changed my alarm code as well as my stepdad got his friends to put up 4 cameras around my house. I'm also going to start shutting the gate so that no one can walk up to the house without ringing the bell first. I put an edit in that I was going to be meeting with one of Rob's friends' wives for lunch today, and I have to say that it was informative for sure. I'll call her Nat, 30-year-old female, and her husband Zach, 29-year-old male. So I went to meet her on my lunch break at a cafe near my work. It's a place that a lot of my coworkers go to, and I know the staff there as well. A few Redditors thought that she might bring Rob with her, so I wanted it to be somewhere I feel comfortable and have backup if needed. Turns out that I didn't need to bother about that. When I got to the cafe, Nat was there on her own. I grabbed some lunch and a drink and sat with her. We went through the usual small talk before she started telling me what had been going on. Rob rang Zach on Thursday morning saying he had nowhere to go and could he stay with them for a few days. Zach spoke to Nat and they agreed he could stay in their guest room. Rob went to their house after work and they had a long talk where Rob told him he has a flat lined up but can't move in till January. Zach and Nat agreed to let him live with them until January as long as he followed some basic rules and paid for his own food. The rules were things like no bringing women back there. If he went out drinking, he had to be quiet when he got back so he didn't wake their daughter who's 6. He agreed to all this and paid for Chinese for them all that night. The next day after work, Rob went to meet his dad in the pub for a few pints. When Zach and Nat went to bed, Rob still wasn't home. They were woken up at about 2 in the morning by Rob arguing with a woman. Apparently, Rob had met this woman in a bar, took her back to Zach and Nat's house, got his pleasure, and then told her to get dressed and screw off once he was done. She had gotten angry, which started an argument where Rob was saying some horrific stuff to her. Nat took the woman downstairs and got her a taxi, while Zach stayed upstairs arguing with Rob. Once Nat had got rid of the woman, she went back upstairs and tried to calm Zach and Rob down. At this point, Rob decided to take out his frustrations on Nat, calling her the B word and telling her to do something useful and make him a sandwich before bursting out laughing like he'd made the funniest joke ever. This made Zach lose it and pin Rob to the wall by his throat. Side note, Rob isn't a fighter at all, whereas Zach was an amateur boxer in his youth and can handle himself well. Nat managed to get Zach to let him go and Rob was shoved in the guest room and told to sleep off the alcohol. It's a miracle that Nat's daughter didn't wake up during this. The next morning, Nat got their daughter ready and went to her mom's after telling Zach to get Rob out of their house. Zach agreed, and after Nat left, he woke up Rob and told him to pack his crap and leave. Rob tried to apologize and begged to stay, but Zach was having none of it and kicked him out. Going off the timing, I think he'd left there and came straight to my house. On Sunday, Zach texted Rob to meet up so they could speak, and they met up in a pub. Zach has been friends with Rob since they were 11 and has never seen him act like he had been, so he wanted to find out what was really going on. He managed to finally get the truth out of Rob. Basically, Rob had been in contact with his dad for a lot longer than he told us. By this point, it's over 2 years. His dad is a raging misogynist that believes a woman's place is in the kitchen and bedroom. A man's place is to rule the house and be waited on hand and foot, as well as deciding who can and can't be in their lives. He's been dripping this poison into Rob's ears. It's really taken a hold of him. Zach told Nat that he just doesn't recognize Rob anymore. Rob wants to start living his life the way his father has told him he should. When Zach pointed out that Rob's dad is 62, living in a crappy one-bedroom flat and has not had a real relationship since Rob's mom left him, has no friends, his family doesn't speak to him, and that he's the type of guy that when he walks into a pub, people finish their pints so they can leave and get away from him, Rob was furious. He told Zach that his dad is just misunderstood. Zach responded that people understood his dad and that's why they stayed away from him. He's toxic. This pretty much ended their conversations and Rob left. Zach did find out that Rob does have a flat lined up for January, so that was true and that he's found a B&B he can stay till the flat is ready at minimal cost. Zach and Nat have also decided to go no contact with Rob as they don't need that toxicity around them, but especially not around their daughter. A few Redditors had said it sounded like Rob was on drugs, so I asked Nat what she thought and she doesn't think so but can't be sure. She and Zach think that Rob is just so far under his dad's thumb now that he's completely changed as a person. He believes that everything his dad says is gospel. She did let me know that Rob has a burner IG account and that he is using to check on my IG, and I immediately made my account private. He had said something about seeing me waste money on a stupid amount of Christmas presents when I couldn't even help him out to Zach on Sunday. I'd been to a Christmas market on Saturday afternoon and had posted pics on IG. All of this just made my resolve stronger that he will not be getting anywhere near my house again. It also made me realize that I don't have any feelings for him anymore other than frustration at how he's acting, and some sadness at how far he's fallen from the man I once knew. I thought that hearing he had another woman in his bed would annoy me, but there was just nothing. I couldn't have cared less. I thanked Nat for the info and we agreed to keep in touch. It won't be as close as we were when I was with Rob, but it feels good to have someone who knows the entire situation and has seen Rob's behavior with his own eyes. There were also some Redditors that told me to ditch the friends that had told me to let him stay with me. Unfortunately, I can't ditch them completely, as they're part of the friend group that would just cause unnecessary drama, but I will be keeping my distance from them and only talking to them when part of the group. I'm currently at my sister's and we are going to watch a Christmas film to get us in the mood to decorate all our houses this weekend, so I will be on and off for the next few hours if anyone has any questions. Thanks for the votes and giving me some perspective. Reddit isn't all that bad. Relevant comments. User 1. The misogyny and abuse probably runs in Rob's family. I wonder if on some level the son adopts the ways of the father so he will be accepted and loved. Rob's father is probably not capable of love, so if the son acts horribly and is given praise for it, he might misinterpret it as love and finally figures he's getting his father's approval. Just a theory, who knows what's actually going on in these sick families. Sad. OP. I was talking about this to my sister before, and she said that she thinks he's behaving like he is to get some sort of validation from his dad. I knew that he missed having a dad growing up, as we had talked about our shared experience of that, so you are probably right in this regard. I just know that one day he will wake up and realize everything he's lost because of his and his dad's actions. I also don't think it helps that he wasn't abused by his dad, his mom, and elder brothers protected him from it, so his memories of his dad from his younger years are largely positive. Another update, for anyone that's still around. Still have people reaching out to see if I'm okay. A few hated me just using initials, so R is Rob. I really hoped that I wouldn't have to update again, but I've just had a call from one of Rob's friends and it looks like he's going to be spending Christmas in prison. Apparently, he went out on a Saturday night with his dad and they got into an argument which turned physical. Rob isn't a fighter. However, he is bigger and stronger than his dad, and it ended with his dad falling backwards and hitting his head off a wall, knocking him unconscious. The staff in the pub called the police and an ambulance, but Rob left before they got there. Rob's dad had to go to the hospital, where he still is. I'm unsure of his exact injuries, but they're not life-threatening. He must also be awake, as he is pressing charges against Rob. However, they won't keep him in unless absolutely essential at this time of year. Rob was arrested on Sunday morning at the B&B he's been staying at and had to appear in magistrate's court on Monday. Due to him not having a fixed address right now and the fact that his dad is still in hospital, he has been remanded on a Section 18 with intent. Unless he can find permanent address to go to, he won't be getting out until his trial at Crown Court. I know his mom is already at his brother's over 250 miles away, so I don't think she will be able to help right now. Finding this out has actually given me a sense of peace right now. I've been trying to ignore it, but the chance of him turning up and spoiling Christmas has been at the back of my mind ever since he turned up at my house. I'm hoping he stays in over Christmas so that I can just relax. OP on Section 18 in her area. OP. Section 18 is an assault charge. A Section 18 with intent is the next level up and is classed as intending to and causing grievous bodily harm to someone. I've been told that if found guilty, then it's usually a multiple-year prison sentence. Another mini update. I went around to N and Z, hereby known as Nat and Zach, to drop off a present for their daughter, a bottle of Bell's for Zach and a bottle of Prosecco for Nat for Christmas, and had a cup of tea with them whilst they filled me in on what's going on. Rob will be in over Christmas but will likely get out early January. His lawyer is trying to get the charges reduced from Section 18 with intent to a Section 20. I only found out today that a Section 18 with intent is one step down from attempted murder, and you're looking at double digits in prison if you get found guilty. Section 20 is a lot less severe and is usually a 2-year suspended sentence for first-time offenders, which he is. His lawyer has said that if he pleads guilty to the Section 20, then CPS will lower the charges to get this one over and done with ASAP, as the courts are ridiculously backed up in the UK right now and prisons are full. Zach went to the B&B he was staying at and got Rob's stuff, which is now in his garage, as one last favor to Rob, Zach's words. He can't get in touch with me without my consent whilst he is locked away. The prison literally has to ring me and ask if it is okay that I get put on his approved call list, and only then is he allowed to ring me, which won't be happening. I've also spoken to his mom, who has basically washed her hand of him for the time being. She thinks that he needs to learn his lesson, and maybe spending Christmas in a cell will teach him how much he's lost. She has spoken to him and said that he's now saying the right things, but only time will tell if he means them. He is talking about moving to be near his brother to get away from their dad, so maybe he has seen the light. His brother has refused to go onto his call list, so Rob can't contact him, so I don't know how that will work. As for his dad, he is still in hospital with a broken hip and has had to have surgery to fix it. The broken bone and head injury is why charges are so high right now. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, knowing he can't ruin my Christmas. I'm just about to pack everything into the car and go and stay at my mom's until January 2nd, but I thought I'd finish the year off letting everyone who's helped me and supported me through this know what's going on. Merry Christmas to everyone that celebrates it, and hope everyone is doing well. OP on her sister Kim due to the emergency surgery that took place. OP. She's doing great. Not gotta go back to the hospital till end of January as they're that happy with her. Still got a long road of recovery as the stitches won't be out for at least another 6 months. Probably longer. She and her wife will be at mom's house over Christmas as well. They're gonna be here tomorrow and staying till after New Year as well. She's at the football today in hospitality as a treat from our stepdad, so she was buzzing this morning. Hope you have a great time as well and a great New Year. Final update. Hi all. Sorry it's been a while since my last update, but I wanted everything to be finished before I updated again. Rob spent Christmas on remand in prison. He didn't get out until the second week of January, and that was only because his mom agreed to let him stay with her again. He had his plea hearing the first week of February, where he pleaded guilty to a Section 20 assault. He then had to wait until last week to get his sentencing court date. I didn't know how much actually goes into sentencing. They had to get a victim impact statement, a pre-sentencing report from probation, statements from his mom and brother. His barrister even reached out to me to give a statement, saying that we had broken up and I'd asked him to leave the house. We used our breakup as an extenuating circumstance, saying that because of the breakup, our relationship and him losing his home that had seriously impacted his mental health. The statements from his mom and brother also confirmed that he had lived in an abusive home when he was young, so he claimed he had PTSD because of that. These were all read out at his sentencing. He was going to get 3 years, but the judge knocked time off for pleading guilty and for mitigating circumstances. That left him with a 16-month sentence that was suspended for 18 months. As part of the conditions for his release, he isn't allowed anywhere near his dad. He has to go to counseling for supposed PTSD, and he isn't allowed to drink alcohol. He even has an ankle monitor on that tests his sweat every half an hour for alcohol, and will alert probation if he gets a positive result. Lucky for him, his boss has let him go and work at their main location in the city that's half an hour away from here, and probation was very happy for him to live there as well. He moved into a flat there this week, so I don't have to worry about running into him. I haven't spoken to him at all and don't want to. He has tried reaching out through a couple of friends, but they've respected my decision and told him to move on with his life. However, I did speak to his mom yesterday, and she said that she thinks he's depressed, but so far he's doing okay. She's the one I got all of this information from. It's a strange mix of emotion for me towards him, as I still care on some level, just not enough to keep him in my life. I know I need to keep him away from me, as I can never see him like I did at this time last year. It's crazy to think that it's only been a year since we got engaged. So much has happened. Other than those mixed emotions, I'm doing well. I've been hanging out with my sister and her wife a lot more, as well as catching up with friends. I'm still working at the same place, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. For the people asking about my sister, she's doing good. She had a setback last month, but she seems to be over that now and has just been approved to have some form of newish stem cell treatment at the UK's biggest eye hospital, which is fab news. She tried to explain it to me, but it involves them taking her blood and putting it into her eye, which grossed me out, so I told her to stop. However, because she's my sister, she then sent me pictures of what they do, and mom had to step in and tell her to stop. No matter how old we get, I don't think we will ever stop trying to annoy each other. So all in all, I think we're all moving on with life. Unless there's something big to happen, then this should be my last post. I really want to thank everyone for their kind words and support. This has restored my faith that there are still good people out there. Robert, how the mighty have fallen. It's crazy to think that a year ago, right, this couple was happy, beautiful, madly in love. Things were great. You had just got engaged and you were primed for beginning a whole new chapter of your lives together. But be careful who you let into your life, because this dad apparently is so toxic and poisonous that he ruined what had to have been a good man for her to spend 7 years with him, and immediately he starts acting out and saying that my family's more important and you gotta do what you say and it's my house and we need all the sports channels and a whole lot of other stuff. But it's just crazy to see how far it went. the family, I mean, that was really just the beginning, but it's crazy that she actually spends more time with his family than he does at this point. She's contacting his mom and his brother, and they all went no contact with him, like he's that much of a turd. And then the one guy that he was trying to impress or find some approval or affection from, he freaking knocks him out and then has to go to prison for it. Like, Rob really just threw his life away over nothing. He was about to be married to a wonderful woman, and they loved Christmas, and they were going to have a lot of fun, but instead he chose to follow in his father's footsteps and then knock him out. And like, it just, I mean, it's so crazy. It's really just an awful story. So the moral of that story is to be careful who you let in, because you never know what kind of BS advice they're going to feed you, and then you're spending Christmas in jail. Story 3. My 31-year-old male wife, 32-year-old female, has proposed a threesome with another girl, 28-year-old female. My wife, Ash, and I have been married for 8 years. I always knew she had bisexual interest, or at least bi-curious, but it never bothered me. In the past, we visited strip clubs as well, and she too enjoyed private dances. Last week, Ash told me she had been thinking for a while if maybe we could consider occasionally including another girl in our relationship. I asked her what she meant, and she brought up that her friend Claire had expressed an interest in us. I know Claire, and she always seemed a quiet, unassuming woman, and I was surprised about this. My wife said that before they could have further talk about it, she wanted me to know and have my opinion. She said she thinks she would really like that, and it could spice up the bedroom. I was more concerned than anything else. I read many horror stories about threesomes gone wrong and poly relationships never working out in the end. My wife countered she doesn't want a poly relationship, just a sexual thing, and that she understands my concerns, and that if I fear it would damage our marriage, she will take it off the table without any ill feelings. She still asked me to seriously consider it, because it could be something beautiful to share, and she wants me in it because she wouldn't enjoy it at all if I consented but kept out. So either both of us are in, or the thing is off. She also said we'll be extensively talking with Claire before anything happens, and discuss boundaries, limits, and conditions. Ash is a very logical woman, so logical that we joke that like all engineers, she doesn't live, she functions. So I trust her on the logistic and emotional aspects of this. I brought up if she could get jealous of Claire if I did anything with her. She replied she actually fantasized about it. She also reiterated that Claire is not taking the place of any of us. She is an extra, and she knows it, like the strippers we visited. I'm learning to trust Ash and am considering it, but I still have lots of concerns. What should I do? Should I at least talk about this with both of them before giving a green light? Update. I spoke with Ash at length about her proposal and her friend Claire. I brought up some of the points you guys made, and some I was concerned about, such as, would this green light bringing other people, including men, into our relationship? Why Claire? Do I have to be concerned about the two of them having feelings I don't know about? Do I have to be concerned about Ash's feelings potentially getting hurt if I do anything with Claire? I didn't put those as accusations, but as concerns on my part, which Ash replied to very exhaustively. First, it doesn't have to be Claire. She's very much into the idea and available, but she has already accounted me not wanting her and won't take it personally if that's the case. For now, we have decided for me to take meet up with Claire both on my own, with Ash's knowledge, to discuss things and also for me to know her better, and with my wife if things progress. About them having feelings. Ash told me that Claire is basically a seasoned unicorn. She never caught feelings for any couple and is good at distancing herself if anyone catches feelings. As for Ash, she has admitted her only feelings for Claire are that for a friend and admittedly some sexual attraction. As for me and Claire doing things, Ash has outlined her two desires, her banging an attractive woman and her watching me banging an attractive woman. Sort of something voyeuristic, and she has dreamed and fantasized about this for a while now. Basically fantasizing about me cheating on her, but with her approval. I'm still wrapping my head about all this, and she assured me if I get too uncomfortable about this, we can shelve the whole thing, no questions asked. She assured me that her fantasies are not worth compromising our marriage for a couple of hours if I'm not up to it. She says I have the last say and she'll respect it no matter what. This reassures me, and for now we are still in the considering it stage. Update. Feeling nervous about meeting the unicorn. Hey guys, me again. My wife and I spoke again and finally agreed to meet Claire for a coffee in the next days. The catch is, my wife Ash won't be there. She doesn't want to. She told me that's because she already met with Claire one-on-one, and it's fair I do the same to make myself an idea about her without influences. I expressed my doubts that this seems kinda like setting me up for a date, and without skipping a beat, Ash said that it is a date of sorts, or I can frame it as an interview. She says the point is also to see if Claire and I hit it off, then we'll meet her together. Thoughts? How should I exactly behave here? What questions should I ask, and what are the big no-nos? Update. I met the unicorn today. All went quite well. I was a bit nervous, but she's really friendly and laid back. Was a bit flirty and made some compliments that really helped making me comfortable. She was quite direct and answered my questions without beating around the bush. And I like she didn't try to sell the idea, rather just giving me the elements for a decision. Although she did note that most guys of the couple she played with were way too eager, and she actually appreciated me being cautious about it, and she respects if I end up saying no. We didn't discuss much details about what we'll actually do. She agreed with me it would be better to talk about this with my wife and agree on the conditions and boundaries. However, she did mention she would be the one taking the lead with us, as her experience would help in making sure neither of us feels left out and we can all have fun and be satisfied. That's the update as of now. Another update. I decided we won't go through with it. Hey guys, after reading many comments and threads, I decided that having a threesome with another woman like my wife asked is not a good idea, and I don't feel comfortable going through with it or talking anymore about it. I'm considering asking my wife if we should cut off the other woman and maybe stop some activities we did before, visiting strip clubs, and perhaps consider putting some hard limits and boundaries on our relationship. I don't want to risk what we have for some bit of fun, and you guys helped me realize that. Thank you for all the advice and comments. Relevant comments. User 1. Group stuff is only fun if everyone is enthusiastic. Good call. OP. I was a bit intrigued, but I changed my mind. I hope she won't be too bummed out about it. User 2. Being intrigued and enthusiastic are two different things. OP. Exactly. In the end, it's better to not indulge in this. User 2. You made the right decision. Good luck. User 3. Sounds like that's a good decision for you to make. How do you think your wife will feel about firstly not having the threesome with this girl if it's what your wife really wants? Then also stopping all your other activities as well. OP. I still haven't told her, but she noticed my enthusiasm died down and I have become admittedly a bit distant. I think she'll be a bit bummed out about it, honestly. User 3. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So you'll need to manage that conversation with her carefully. Clearly, you want to focus on your relationship, which is a positive thing. So try to ensure that you talk about these positive things you want in your relationship as well. OP. You are right. Things will change. I thought we were doing fine, but evidently something was going wrong if we got to this. User 4. Just be prepared that she might not have come to the same conclusion. OP. She said she would have respected my decision and she's a woman of her word. If this becomes a problem for her, then I'm afraid we do have a problem. User 4. I mean, I don't know how to tell you this, but someone's word is worth its weight in gold. She might have even said it in good faith, but it's going to be real hard for her to not develop resentment towards you, when the only roadblock to exploring the lifestyle is you. OP. Look, if she decides that banging another woman is a hill to die on, she's not the woman I married. New update. Last update. My wife proposed a threesome with another girl. I didn't want to post anything anymore on Reddit, and this will be my last post. I didn't want to log in anymore, but I saw my story on TikTok and curiosity got the best of me, and I saw how it got reposted around. First, let me say that asking for advice on this site was a mistake. I got people making wild assumptions, making me second guess my whole relationship. I got men propositioning themselves when I made it clear we aren't interested in other men. Some creep sent me Facebook info about a certain Claire asking me if it was her. She's not. The names I put here are not the real ones. And I don't want to talk about some outright vile stuff I got in my DMs. You people suck. As for me and my wife, I didn't shut down our previous activities or put restrictions on our relationship, and I don't want to. It's stuff we have done for years, we always enjoyed it, and it makes no sense to stop it because some pearl clutchers I will never have to deal with in my life are put off by it. My wife and I have watched plenty of other times women reacting with us, and no jealousy came out of it. We had Claire over for dinner last Tuesday. We just talked and nothing else. And honestly, it just reinforced my view of her as a straightforward and honest girl, not the vile temptress some people made her out to be. She answered every question and doubt Ash and I had right away, even the most uncomfortable and ugly. Ash too had her worries, not just me. Claire did her best to assuage our doubts and proposed that if we do go forward with her, because we could decide to pick someone else and both her and Ash are perfectly okay with it, she'll be the one taking the lead. Given her experience, she knows how to keep things balanced and to not make anyone feel left out, basically tailoring the experience to make sure everyone is satisfied. We agreed to consider proceeding by baby steps and not jump straight up into the threesome. That's it. Whenever we will do it, if we will do it, how it will go will be our business alone. This is the last update I will be posting. I want to sincerely thank the admittedly very few people who offered genuine advice and didn't jump into wild assumptions and judgments. I won't be reading nor replying to any comment or DM. Okay, well, kind of good on him. You know what? I'm just not a fan, okay? I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think it belongs in something like a marriage and a commitment of loyalty and faith between two people. If you want to fool around and do that kind of thing, sure, go for it ahead of time, but you are married. You are committed to one and only to build a life and to build into one tree and soul together. That doesn't belong, and it's gross, and it's uncomfortable, and it gives me the heebie-jeebies, okay? I don't care. Call me a prude, call me whatever you want. I don't like it. And good on this guy for kind of getting away with it, although he's still leaving the door open. And, you know, you kind of invited the situation to begin with, you know, with all the strip clubs and whatever else they've done. You know, he's like, well, if this is something my wife would still be interested in, then she's not the woman I married. But, you know, from the very beginning, it sounds like their relationship has involved something like this anyway. So, you know, it's not really a big change up. He knew exactly what he was getting into and vice versa. So, you know, it's something, speaking outside of my own opinions and just the situation itself. You know, I don't know. It sounds like they're at least being mature and communicating and having conversations. So good on them for doing it as well as you can. However, again, back to me. Story 4. My husband is having an affair and I'm okay with it. My husband Frank is the most caring, loving, and attentive man I've ever known. Problem is, I love him like a friend or a brother. I care for him, I want him to be happy, but I don't love him romantically. He knew this and he still married me to save me from my abusive family. He did hope I'd get feelings for him, but I never did, at least in the romantic sense. We are great partners otherwise, in life and business. We set up our own business, and I enjoy having relationships with him. We talked about the possibility of a divorce, but I never wanted one. I'm perfectly fine the way things are, and a divorce, even the most amicable, would bring problems to our business and life I really don't need at the moment. But that said, I didn't want to make the man who literally saved my life feel like he's in a cage, and so I gave him the freedom to be in a relationship with other women. For 2 years, he didn't do anything, but 3 months ago he came to me and confessed there's a woman he's developing feelings for and whom reciprocated. He was feeling ashamed about this. I hugged him tight and reminded him that I want this for him and I want him to have a partner who loves him the way he loves them. It feels so fine. I was afraid he'd neglect me from then on, but he's as attentive, affectionate, and caring as ever, and I can see this relationship is really doing him good. She knows he's married and she's fine with it. And although I never wanted to meet her, I had some little detective work done on her, and by all accounts, she is a good, well-adjusted woman. So I'm not worried about her hurting Frank or turning him against me. She's not interested in marriage, which is exactly what I needed. Frank is happy, and this makes me happy in turn. I told him I would be open to discuss separation, not divorce, if his relationship with this woman gets more serious. But things are fine now. Relevant comments. User 1. You may have shot yourself in the foot. He may rather divorce you at some point and be married to a woman who actually loves him romantically. OP. If it comes to that point, I'll let him go. But I hope we can talk about it first, like we did when we first breached the topic of divorce. User 2. Caring about him as a best friend and screwing him isn't a substitute for romantic love. As smooth as the partnership is, it doesn't mean it's fulfilling for Frank. I hear a lot about what you want, but not a lot about what Frank needs. OP. This is why I gave my blessing to him finding another woman. She can fulfill him like I cannot. User 3. Since everyone is away, it is not an affair. I think it is E&M. Have you ever felt romantic attraction? Maybe you are a romantic. OP. What's E&M? Anyway, I've never felt anything romantic towards Frank. I am physically attracted to him though, very much so. Update. Wife in an open marriage, Need help to get this in perspective. Hello guys, my husband and I have an open marriage. I opened it because I realized that while I love and care for him as family, I never actually loved him. He married me to get away from my abusive family. In doing so, he literally saved my life. Now we have a live and flourishing business together. He broached the idea of a very amicable divorce, mostly so we could both find romantic partners. But I have no such need at the moment, and I don't wish to have a divorce. Too costly. Will impact our business and taxes. And I don't want to really lose him. So I opened the marriage and allowed him to find himself a girlfriend. He found someone after a couple of years, and when he told him, I was happy for him. The girl is fine with our arrangement and doesn't desire marriage, so I am comfortable. But I have been thinking recently. I am not jealous and I don't mind at all when he spends the night at her place, but why don't I want to let him go? Why do I still want to have relationships with him? Why am I happy that he is happy and I am okay with another woman having him, but I still keep him bound to myself? Don't get me wrong, we are all happy and satisfied with our arrangement, but I'm starting to wonder if I might be aromantic or this is really my way of loving him. Thank you all for your opinions. Relevant comments. User 1. I'm confused. You said that it was a marriage of convenience as such. So do you actually love him, and does that really matter? Given you have both agreed to stay together but date others as you wish, do you also date others yourself? Do you have your own friends with benefits? OP. At first, yes, but I guess I grew fond of him over time. I feel that I don't love him romantically, but I care for him a lot, and I don't want to lose him. Yes, I can date other people too, and I might have had a short fling of my own, but I'm not too interested at the moment. User 1. Okay, so you're happy just being it's your husband. You don't really need one to date anyone else. You're happy that he has found another woman that he has a strong connection with. You still enjoy having relationships with him as well. He still is caring and attentive toward you. To me, things seem good in your life. What exactly are you asking or wanting from your post? OP. Honestly, I don't know. I guess I just need to put some order in my head. I feel like I am being paradoxical. I know I don't love him romantically, but sometimes I feel like I do? I know it makes no sense. User 2. OP, do you have any outside partners or are you trying to date? If not, why not? OP. At the moment, I'm simply not interested in dating. I had a short fling, but that's about it. It sounds like it's more of just the uncomfort of change than anything. It's not really like a losing him, because she's clearly just happy for him and happy that he's happy and that he's going to move on and that she doesn't actually have feelings for him, you know? Like he saved her, like their whole marriage is kind of a sham. He rescued her. And they're like, well, we'll marry and we'll pretend and we'll do this whole thing and, we'll have a little fun, but we're not actually married. And, so I'm sure it's a little uncomfortable as it's slowly moving into a new age and he's not going to be her prime rescuer anymore. But, I don't think she ever had feelings for him or ever will. And, you just kind of got to relax and let go. I don't think it's more of a second guessing thing as much as it is, I don't want things to change, and I've got a business with this guy and we've got a house and a whole life, but, they're not in love. So, I think it's completely fine. And hopefully that he finds his actual love and that they've had their little fling. That's basically what it is. It's, if you can even call it that, hopefully he finds someone and she finds someone and things go well for the both of them. But good news is nobody's hurt. And that's the kind of story I like. Story 5. My brother came out. Some tips/help. I am 25-year-old male, straight. My brother is 18. 2 of us in the family. We grew up in a very Christian household. I left as soon as I could. My brother and I were never really close because we were very different. About 3 weeks ago, my brother rocked up at my door. It was a bit strange because we barely see each other. We had a few drinks and he started crying. He said he was gay and our parents kicked him out and he has nowhere to go. He's been staying on my couch since. I went home and collected his stuff. The language they used about him was utterly disgusting whilst I was packing. I am worried for him. He doesn't leave the house. I think he hurt himself. I'm not 100% sure, but he has some history of it. And he's gone from I'm gay to I don't want to be gay. He's also saying he might go home to our parents and sort out being gay, whatever that means. I'm not at all equipped to deal with this. I've offered counseling to him, but he doesn't want to speak to strangers. I flipped out at my parents to sort themselves out, although that's pointless. My girlfriend, who has a friend who is gay, I got her to invite him over. That did not work. I just seen it going one tragic way. I don't know what to do. Sorry, this is all over the place. Edit. Next day. Thanks for all the replies. Just booked a cabin for me and the bro tomorrow. Nice peaceful spot. I go there a bit to clear my head. I don't think I can do much about the gay thing, but I can at least bond with him over fishing and stuff. He will probably hate fishing, but we can do his thing the next time. No girlfriend, no kid, me and him and some peace to hash things out. Haha, only just noticing some of your usernames. Gave me a chuckle. I'll be offline for a day or two fishing. No connection, but thanks to all who replied. Relevant comments. Commenter. This is never an easy time, but he's lucky to have you supporting him. Are there any LGBT clinics in your area? They'll often have resources for both you and him. They can also offer professional resources, including grant funding in case he wants to pursue schooling. OP. Thanks, man. I did try one. They offered free counseling for him, but he won't go near it. He got irate when I mentioned counseling. They offered some helpful tips to me, although I'm not sure they were any good. No offense to the organization. I'm kind of scared for him. I work from home, as does my girlfriend, but it's got to the stage where I feel one of us has to supervise him. I don't know. Commenter. He's depressed as heck and is broken. You are right that this is above your pay grade. Stuff like this needs serious therapy and all. But as a brother, best you can do is help keep a roof over him and get him back up at his feet. And no, he shouldn't go back to them. The damage is done and trying to ungay yourself ain't possible. Believe me, I know too well. OP. Thanks for your response and sorry for your experience. He can absolutely stay as long as he wants. My view of my parents is awful anyway, but I hope he doesn't go back there. I'm just scared he might do something bad. Commenter. He won't go back there if you explain that he's welcome to stay with you. Everything will be okay. There's nothing wrong with being gay, etc. Truly, the more you guys unpack childhood stuff, including your parents' apparent homophobia, the easier it'll be for him. If he won't go to the LGBT center, maybe he will watch helpful affirming YouTube videos, or even some gay movies. Trick 1999 is a great watch. For example, that isn't graphic or offensive. OP. Yup, he can stay as long as he wants and my girlfriend has been a rock. I've spoken to him about being gay. Granted, my gay knowledge is zero. We never really went to childhood stuff, but when he did, he's extremely defensive over our parents. Some of the stuff he said about my girlfriend's friend after he left was pure nasty too. I don't know if I could see him going back. I'll try Trick. Never really thought of movies, etc. Commenter. Do you think he's just brainwashed? Like has Stockholm Syndrome for your parents? Like he has been taught to hate himself that deeply. He shouldn't be talking negatively about your girlfriend's friends no matter the circumstance. He doesn't sound like he's emotionally very peaceful right now. Sending good vibes your way and really hoping some outside perspectives, aka movies, therapy, etc., help get through to your bro. OP. Well, he always got on really well with her mother. I was running at the house door because I hated both of them, but I think he genuinely loves them. I think dealing with their rejection is really hard for him, whereas it means nothing to me. I think he's trying to ungay himself to get back that relationship. I never really realized until recently that I didn't just drop my parents but also him, so our bond really means nothing to him. But yeah, probably a bit brainwashed too. Commenter. Dude, thank you for doing that for your bro. You're a good bro. Even if your little bro hasn't expressed it, I'm sure he's forever grateful. Thank you for being a good human. Your parents could take a lesson. OP. To be honest, I'm a tad guilty for screwing off and not really staying in his life, so probably not a good bro. I just thought of myself and probably treating this as a redemption deep down. Commenter. Exactly that. He feels ashamed for what he is and as a result still has a dislike for people like him, which he hasn't managed to reconcile. You sound like a good guy. Your brother will thank you for it eventually. Might it help if you pointed him here to Reddit? OP. My girlfriend's gay friend said that there were gay groups on here that he could ask questions to, etc. When I brought it up, he was not enthusiastic. I won't say his reply for fear it offends you guys. That probably leans into the internalized homophobia. I decided to invade your space myself to ask a question or two. Sorry. OP's relationship with parents. To be honest, I think he's already dead to them unless he's going to go back saying he's not actually gay. I had a kid young out of wedlock with my girlfriend. We haven't spoken or seen each other since, except for when I was packing up my bro's stuff. They haven't seen their grandchild at all. Insane stuff. One more piece. Thanks for such a detailed response. We don't know our father's side at all, and my mother's sister is as insufferable and cruel as my parents are. I don't know my bro well, unfortunately, so I don't know if he has friends, but all I know is what he told me about our parents, and I got permission from him to tell my girlfriend. Yep, I suppose try to listen more and try to fix less is important. Thanks, man. Again, update post. 2 days from original post. First off, thanks to everyone for all the replies. I'll try to get to all of them. If I don't, apologies. There was some brilliant advice. Skip to the last paragraph for the rest of this crap. 3-hour car journey, and it was a little awkward at the beginning, but eventually I explained why I left home. Admitted I was wrong not to make an attempt keeping in touch with him. Reiterated I was glad he came to me and I like having my brother back. He asked what about Emily, my girlfriend. I said something stupid. Bro, stay in your lane. I get the girls and you get the boys. He actually kind of laughed at it. I decided for the rest of the trip, no walking on eggshells. The girlfriend wasn't there to keep me in line anyway. Jokes, etc. We headed out on the water in a rowboat. Don't ask. Decided to freak him out by rowing against him and we started going around in circles. The bullocks hit me, but he was laughing. When we got out on the lake, he did ask what my parents had said about my kid and I told him. After our meal, we went for a stroll. He said, I don't want to be gay. I don't see any life in it. People will look at me weirdly, etc. I said I didn't want to be a teen dad. I didn't see a life in it, and now I couldn't imagine my life any other way, and that he's not good looking enough for people to stare. He called me a twat and said, you know what I mean. I said, screw me, screw our parents, screw religion. There are plenty of religions that are not anti-gay, advice I got from you guys. Screw everyone. You can wallow in self-hate. Stop to congratulate myself on such a word, and I got probably the 5th hit of the day. Or you can try to accept it. He asked what I would do if I were him. I said I'd be completely jealous of my older brother's good looks. 6th hit. I said if I were him, I'd try to realize our parents is not the place to be right now. I would try to accept what I am and realize it won't change. I'd get a job, even if it's a couple of hours, and would try meeting my devilishly good-looking brother halfway because he's completely out of his depth and is only trying to help. 7th hit. I got him smiling though. He then asked if I had any regrets about my relationship with my parents. I said no. I said when you have a kid in 15 years' time with your guy, you'll understand how odd they are being. My daughter could tell me anything apart from she's a Liverpool fan and I'd still love her. We got back. I threw on a movie with the hottest male actor I could think of, Andrew Garfield and Spider-Man 2. Anyway, hopped on the bed and he brought over a chair. I was like, what the heck you doing with the chair? Hop on the bed, you dope. He was reluctant. He found it very awkward, but as the movie went on, he got better. During the movie, I said, you asked me what I would do if I were you. I would definitely do someone who looks like Andrew Garfield if I were you. Called me a twat and hit me again, but smiling. Next morning, I packed up our stuff and chanced my arm, heading home by asking him to have 1 pint at a gay bar. Told him we could pick a booth in the corner. You can pretend you are straight. No one will know you. He really didn't want to, but I reminded him I'm the better looking brother. I'm not, by the way, so I'm screwed. Another hit. He agreed to go in. It was very early, so it was quiet. He got a seat. I got the drinks. I got hit on. Funny interaction. We had a quick 0 alc pint and left. In hindsight, probably too soon to go to a bar, but he was fine. We were left alone. He told my girlfriend we went into a gay bar. She roared with laughter that I was at a gay bar. I told her I turned down a guy who was up for anything at 12:30 in the day. There better be some good relations tonight or I know where I'm going tomorrow. And she hit me and said he'd be doing her a favor. I asked why the heck is everyone hitting me and my brother said because you're a twat. The one thing I learned is I'm his brother and not his parent. I'm not there to fix things. I'm there to be a bit of a turd and not take myself too seriously around him. Even if it's just 2 days at least, he's chatting and not totally down in the dumps. Even the girlfriend noticed it. Relevant comments. Commenter. Congratulations. Be his big brother. He probably will need some healing to get over all the religious stuff. Hey, ain't no hate like Christian love. OP. True about Christian love. He will need therapy at some point or at the very least someone gay he can speak to. I have limits. I can provide a witty comment, but that's about it. Commenter. You're being a good brother. Kinda remind me of my uncle who I confided in when I was questioning my sexuality and was ashamed. Eventually he will grow, he will get to know people, and he'll look back and wonder what all that worrying was about. Also, I must say, you do have good taste in men. Andrew Garfield is hot. OP. It's eye-opening to me how many of you have stories of shame, etc. Obviously not a shock to you guys. Good that you had an uncle you could confide in. I'm glad I got clarification on Andrew because my bro didn't give me his opinion on him. Commenter. I was going to comment on the last post how proud I was of you, and now I really have to because you just made even better in my books. There are more horror stories of being denied by family on here than posts like this, so it really does mean a lot to see that you came here for genuine advice and used all of it very well. I wish you and your brother nothing but the best. He's very lucky to have a kind brother like yourself. OP. Thanks, man. The advice was good, but to be honest, the sheer volume of people who shared stories of their family rejection helped. I felt like he was in a hole he would just go deeper and deeper until you guys. Commenter. Great. He'll have more bad days ahead, but at least y'all have established the beginning of a relationship. Be the twat. He needs that. But all of those hits were him loving you. Continue what you've been doing and keep us in the loop to help where we can. OP. Thanks, man. Oh, he definitely will have more bad days. I'm expecting him to be bad tomorrow, but at least he and 2-ish okay days for now and know it's possible. I'm expecting him to be bad tomorrow, but at least he had 2 okay-ish days, and for now, I know it's possible. Where OP is from and his usage of twat. Haha, yup, English by birth but living in Wales. Is Wales known in America? Enjoy the word. We use it all the time. We also use the C word, but that has a worse meaning in the USA from what I'm aware. It's just a really beautiful family story, when you think of it. I mean, kind of, part of the family. The parents and the aunt that we didn't really get to hear a lot about are all pretty hateful and horrible. But you know what? Replace the content or the subject of this with anything, be it gay or any other despisable thing that a family might act on. The fact that this kid was able to feel broken and hurt and run to somebody that he didn't even really know, but he had family and he took the leap, and it's just kind of cool to see 2 brothers come back together in defense of love and pain and triumph. There's nothing like the family bond, even when you're not actually close. It just goes to show that, blood is thicker than hate. I don't know. Okay, I don't know what the moral of the story is, okay? But you know what I do say? Go family, all right? And if somebody makes a joke about looking good, you smack them with an oar and call them a twat.